Welcome to Grablives, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast platform. Just know that your support is so needed, and please like and subscribe our YouTube, Spotify, and Apple platforms. It is so important when you like and subscribe and comment. It allows the algorithm to reach someone down the road who may need to hear this podcast episode or other episodes, because that's just the way the algorithms work. They need your support. So if you're looking to support us, I don't need your money. I do this out of the goodness and greatness of my heart. This is a heart-based project. But if you want to like and subscribe, it really helps those people in need. Thank you so much. Just to start off with our disclaimer, everything we say and do does not reflect the City of Los Angeles Fire Department. And also with our team member and sponsor, Frontline Behavioral Wellness, everything they do is in alignment with what Grablives is offering here. And that's to support this outreach to first responders, their clinicians, their peer support group team that they have is so vital. They have a 24/7 hotline that helps anyone with addiction, anxiety, depression, PTSD, any behavioral health issues that may be arising. It's a 24/7 hotline for you, and it's designed for that. If you're a spouse and you know your first responder is coming off shift and he's just broken, burnt out, call this number and talk to someone. They're here to listen. Number is 661-877-7241. And you could also access acerahealth.com. Their sister company is over in Costa Mesa. If you're in Orange County and it's close within your vicinity, go out to their facility and they're there to help you. So thank you so much for just listening to this podcast episode. I'm so excited for today's episode, which is with a gentleman called, his name is Jules Horn. His first name is German, so I don't really know how to say his German name, but he'll introduce himself and talk about what he does. His offering is about in service to others through Human Garage, which Human Garage is so fascinating. Their message is about transforming trauma, the somatic release of trauma stuck and stored in the fascia of the body. And this method is ran by the co-founder, Gary, who really learned how to unwind the fascia of the body and transform people's lives by ridding this life of chronic pain. I know firefighters and first responders, we live in chronic pain from injury and just being stressed out and burnt out from work. We put so much power into making our lives essential to help other people, but sometimes we have to help ourselves. Their 28-day program is designed to help people get out of dis-ease. When the body is not at ease, it's in dis-ease. So all these pathology labels you place on it, autoimmune disorders, this whole epidemic that's going on where people are suffering in their bodies. If you do the 28-day program, they claim that you can undo that by just doing 17 minutes of their stress reset program. You can find it on YouTube. But Human Garage has helped me so much within my body and feel good in my body and feel open and clear in my consciousness. The body-mind mastery connection is all about this. But you have to have the discipline to do it. That's what you need to do is just to access parts of yourself to be in a state of having an aim, a direction. But if you don't have the proper education, how are you supposed to find a way, to do this? So Human Garage is great. Jules has a great, fascinating story about himself, his life, the work he does with fasting of the body. He is a master at understanding how this works, and he's transformed his own body. So thank you so much for listening. It's a fascinating episode, and thank you for your support, everyone. I love you. Take care. All right, everybody. Welcome to Grablives. Thank you so much for listening. Your support is so needed, and it is a day of technical problems. I had some issues with the headphones, so we're doing this podcast without headphones, which is still okay. My guest here is Jules Horn, and he has an amazing number of things I love to talk about. But his biggest thing is that he's a part of the Human Garage team. Would you call it a team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Human Garage came into my path when I just needed something else to kind of be more embodied and educate myself more on the body. And one of the co-founders, Gary, I forget his last name, but he's great, and he came up with this technique to unwind the fascia and giving like a better understanding of what fascia is. It is super, super fascinating the way he describes it, and kind of took this technique to release trauma from the body. Because the book, The Body Keeps the Score, was a huge, impactful book of how our bodies carry trapped emotion and belief systems and conditions that don't serve us anymore. And so when we can unwind these things and remove these blockages from us, we can be free from pathology and the labels we put on everything. It just means that the body's at dis-ease. It is not at ease. So when you are in stress, we cannot be embodied and feel good in our bodies. So this human garage method was super fascinating. Jules is going to talk about it more. That's why I have him here, and his path of healing and so forth, and how he's come across his own journey in life. And yeah, so thank you everyone for listening again. Jules, dude, I'd love to hear about, just your personal journey, brother, and how you came across your life journey and so forth.
Sounds good, brother. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
I can just talk a little bit about myself. So I grew up in Germany, in a village of 120 people.
Holy shit.
In the Bavaria, in the south of Germany. Grew up where my dad was a butcher, my mom worked in a bakery. So very simple. I have 3 sisters, older, younger, and I'm a twin actually. I have a twin sister. So went to school till I was 16 and then started working as an industrial mechanic for 7 years. After that, or in between that, like a friend of mine, she was like, you should try modeling. She was part-time modeling. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. So tried it out, signed with a big agency in Germany. Then I went to Milan, to Asia a little bit for a while, and ended up 2016 in New York to model, So I moved to New York full time and had a wild ride, everything up and down. Like the career, I had a great start with my career because I worked with a really good photographer right in the beginning and met a lot of great people. But the reality is like, it took me to different places in the world, but for a long time I always felt very empty inside. And knowing now what I know now, looking back, there was always, it all fell into my life for a reason, and I came to that place now today that brought me to this place today, and I learned so much from those experiences, But the reality is really, I know now everything I was doing over the last years, 10 years particularly since I was modeling, was all based on like getting vanity and validation on the outside and trying to fill a void within myself, And which modeling is kind of perfect for that because you get validated for the way you look. So I got obsessed with the way I look. I got obsessed with these things I put in my body, meaning like food, jump from diet to diet, because eventually if you do anything extreme, what happens? Anything extreme eventually breaks, and we're not meant to be living an extreme life as humans, We need to live in balance, as you know. So same with like working out, I would go crazy with like crazy workout routines, then I would fall off. I never would get out of shape, but it's like I would come to a place where I'm just like physically and mentally at a burnout, multiple times in the last 10 years, many times. And, the older I got, the more I understood a little bit about it and the less I burned myself out. My mid-20s, I was like every other month, it was like crazy. I would hit a wall, fall back, and when you have that, it's a very unstable life too. So every day I would wake up, oh, maybe I feel good, maybe I don't. So I had a hard time with finding balance ever. And then I would go 2019, I was like, okay, I need to be vegan. So I went vegan for 2.5 years, super strict. Felt good in that place because I made myself comfortable in this box I put myself in, And then the pandemic hit and all that happened. And all of a sudden, I realized maybe it's not the box I want to live in. So now looking back, I'm like, okay, I do fully believe now we're not meant to be living in any boxes, and we're also humans. So if I'm always so hard on myself and having anxiety or being afraid of changing my life, then I don't believe that's the right way to live, because we as humans, we're meant to change. And if I have an opinion today, I should be able to change it tomorrow, because it's what makes us human and what makes us evolve, you know? So fast forward to like a couple of months ago, beginning of the year pretty much, I started running a lot last year. And then same thing again. I wanted to be the best I can in running, so to get validation on the outside. So I got really good really fast, because it's how I operate. I would go all in with whatever I do. Ran a half marathon, nose breathing only, did this whole thing, and it went all super well. Came back, I was in New York, then came back here in March. And on the Sunday afternoon, it was pretty warm already. I ran for 2 hours. In the evening already, I felt kind of something is wrong. Like my back felt really terrible. And I always had lower back pain issues for the longest time, and hip issues. Everything was tight, has been always tight and like way on the border to being injured really fast. So I wake up the next day on that Monday, and I couldn't walk. Literally couldn't get out of bed. My fiance, she was like, what's going on? I was crawling. It was probably the worst pain I had in a very, very long time. And particularly in that back, in my lower back, I never had that experience that. So, and something within myself intuitively was saying like, I think the only thing that's really gonna help you is Human Garage. I stumbled across of it last year in September, did it a little bit, but reality was like, I would start doing it and expecting an outcome. Meaning, okay, I need to do this now in order to feel better. I need to do this, and then I get that. So, and that has same thing again. This has never worked in my life, because I chase an outcome, so I'm not present. When I'm not present, how can I release emotions or trauma or like tightness in my body when I already think about the future? It's not going to happen. So I started doing Human Garage when I was really injured back in March. And then all of a sudden, like it all went super fast. I started feeling better. I reached out to Gary on Instagram. We did Instagram Live. Then he connected me with someone in Westlake Village. I went up there. He did a one-on-one with me. So supported maneuvers, which really makes a huge difference. So if you put hands on someone, the body opens up 20 to 30 fold.
Oh, wow.
So if we would do Human Garage maneuvers and you trust me, your body feels safe and you can let go without forcing, And so it all went super fast for me. And then I started producing content for them. So I would devote my social media a lot towards health and wellness, which I always wanted to do. And then the longer I was walking on that path, the more clearance I got within myself. So, I was used to help people with nutrition and training, but for some reason, it never really resonated with me 100%. I did breath coaching, certification, help people with breathing. Same thing, like it works fantastic, but it's not something I can show someone and the person is like, okay, I need to do this to feel better. And with Human Garage, with those fascial maneuvers, it's so incredibly simple. And you get an instant feedback from the body that everyone I show it gets hooked onto it, especially when I work with a person one-on-one, because the release is so huge that you can really change a person's life within one session. And I always say, of course, it's not accessible for everyone having someone there, because, not in every city there's someone, or like not wherever you live, whoever listens, there's a practitioner. But if you do it on yourself, it still works fantastic. Just takes a little bit longer. But I started doing it on myself every day. So I started with the stress reset, which is 2 maneuvers back to back, takes about 12 minutes. I would do that every day, started feeling better, and then I got really into it. And I bet the same thing. Yours the same. Is once you find your purpose, your path, it's not work, it's not studying. It's just soak it up like a sponge.
For
and
sure.
It becomes second nature.
Yeah.
So that's what's been happening to me, and everything is going in such a fast pace. And in a sense, I couldn't be more grateful, because I've been praying for that to God like the last years, that I just find a purpose. and knowing what I want to do with my life. And I knew it's like modeling is great, but again, it's all on the outside, and very few people in that industry care actually who you are from your heart, And so I just felt a big portal was opening up for me, which I walked through, stayed in there, and then with practicing in myself, everything is falling into place in such a rapid speed. I met with Gary. We had this large event in Malibu. I've never really worked on people, and all of a sudden, like, I worked on 50 people in a row, and it was all I didn't even think. So it all comes through me. It's like, it's pretty much like channeling.
Yeah.
You get an input and you don't think. That's why I always say to people, when you do fascial maneuvers or in life in general, we're so programmed to only operate from our thinking mind, which what we do then is, okay, we either dwell in the past or we try to predict the future from our thinking mind. Very few people think in the present moment. So rather than thinking too much, I want everyone to feel more. Feel how your body feels, what's going on in your heart, how does your emotional body feel. And when we operate from that place, we're in the present moment. And when I'm in the present moment, then the magic really happens. When I do the fascial maneuvers to release trauma, emotions, generational trauma from the body, I can do that amazingly in the present moment. And all of a sudden, you just create space. Things drop, like weight drops off your shoulder. You can think better. You think straighter. You don't get aggravated as much. You get out of pain, which is huge. And mobility comes back. I'm all of a sudden, after 34 years, can go down in a squat. Not 100% yet, but it's getting better by the week. And I see that and I feel that. And I'm a complete different man than I was like 4 months ago. And again, people like, how many years have you been doing? No, it's been really just a couple of, like,
That's
6
crazy,
months,
man.
maybe not even. But people, it's something I know I'm called to do. It's my purpose, and I have to walk that path, and that's what I'm here for. And then the good thing, what I said earlier, with, for example, in Germany, you always have to have a certification for everything. You have to have the paperwork right, and then you're allowed to do that, right? So, and with Human Garage, there's no certification. There will never be one, because Gary and the team, they don't want that load onto someone, because otherwise people are going to start getting certified.
Right.
And with the wrong intention, the intention is just to make money. And then it's the whole mission is kind of like going in the wrong direction. Because I do believe that once you start serving other people, which we all hear, in the end of the day, our purpose in life for everyone, and as every individual, in my opinion, in my belief, is to serve another a little bit more in this lifetime, on this journey. So in whichever capacity that is. And I also believe that everyone got a superpower, from God.
For sure.
So, and it's about us to be aware enough to tap into that superpower. And once you find that, which you most likely will find in the present moment, the more you in the present, you find the answers within yourself. Once you find them, you'll know what to do with your life. And as I said, I couldn't be more grateful to have found that. And now it's just for me, spread the word, stay on that mission. I do once a week meetups in Santa Monica. They growing by the day, by the week, pretty much. And then I don't know yet exactly what we're gonna do together with what I do together with Gary and the whole team. I have a call with them tomorrow, but there's gonna be something bigger happening as well. So, as I said, I devoted my life to just serving other people through this modality. And the more I do that, the more I understand also that I have pretty much a gift from God where I can hold a lot of space. I knew that, but also like channeling, bringing in good energy, taking out old energy. And I don't know, I always bring that one up. And for me, it's almost like, have you seen The Green Mile?
Yeah.
You know how this guy, the big guy, sucks out the energy from, and this is exactly how I feel when I do this kind of work.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of amazing because I feel people's pain, and I feel the negative emotions or the old emotions, the stored stuff coming out of the body, and I'm able to release that without affecting me, which is really good. And then, afterwards they kind of like, you changed my life, in one session or whatever it is. And as I said, it's incredible. And I'm pushing it to everyone because, first of all, it's extremely easy to do by yourself. It's extremely beneficial. You can get out of pain. You can get rid of all the emotions, of trauma and all those things. And it's, for me, I wake up every day super grateful. My heart is full, and everyone deserves to feel like that. That's why I know this modality, fascial work, Human Garage, brought me to that place. And it did thousands of people around the world already. So that's why I'm pushing it to everyone and putting it out there so much, because I know it will help everyone.
Dude, you're saying all the right things, man.
Thank you.
Dude, thank you so much. That's such a beautiful story. And I can relate to a lot of the stuff you were telling me, because I had done that to myself, like just doing workouts and pushing myself for what? I really pushed myself so hard because I wanted to be the best in my physical body, my physical form for my job. Our job is so just physically demanding, and we are tactical athletes. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We put over 100 pounds of stuff on us, and we climb up, flights of stairs carrying heavy equipment. But injury comes into place for so many different people in our department. And I believe that there's just so much chronic pain happening. If I ask any single member in our department, do you have chronic pain? The answer would be yes, hands down across the board. Yeah. And it affects our workers' comp. Guys go off, it costs a lot of money. So, I believe something like this is super important. And I know for myself, when I've done it in such a short amount of time, I've seen a huge difference in my body. And I think right now is like the biggest thing is across the board, we are awakening as humanity
100%.
from a long collective sleep to realize we put so much power outside of ourselves instead of recognizing the divinity within us, that we can heal ourselves. The only problem is we need the proper education and the understanding of that. And we need a better foundation to rid ourselves of all the just misinformation on what we've been taught, what we've learned about diet, exercise, food. Like what you're saying about Human Garage, it keeps you into this embodied form to be clear, concise, and feel finally. One of the things is the emotional body. We're multidimensional beings. We have a mental body, an astral body, an emotional body, a spiritual body. The emotional body is what connects us to our spiritual body. And this is not necessarily like dogmatic. It is the essence of who we are through the multidimensional form of how we access our truest form, our essence of who we are. And the way the Human Garage operates this is super fascinating. There's so much to break down on what you were talking about. But I had a friend who has been a yoga teacher for 20 plus years. And what yoga does is yoga works on the fascia as well.
Yeah.
And it works within the ley lines of the body and the energy centers of the body to keep it in form. So what she was telling me is that she is really a big fan of Human Garage because she says that Gary had figured out a way to actually double or triple the amount of ley lines that's being accessed within the fascia. So you're actually, I don't know how he figured this out, man, but he did. Yeah. Him and probably his other teammates, but they come together and figure out this way in understanding the fascia, because the fascia is it's holding the skeletal body together. It wraps itself around the organs, your joints, everything. It's the, I don't know, I don't even know how to describe the fascia. It's so interesting.
It's pretty much connective tissue that holds everything together,
Yeah, it's like the glue, but someone had also explained to me how the fascia looks. It's like, like when you're going to like a Halloween party and they have this web on the wall as like a decoration, but you put spiders on there and those spiders are like a direct reflection of like trapped emotion on the fascia. Yeah. So you have to find a way to either get that out somehow. It's like energy is neither created nor destroyed. So it has to go somewhere. Yeah. And I know for myself, I have a hard time getting into my emotional body, but with Human Garage, that's not the case. Yeah. I would do these fascial movements, and dude, I would break down crying, which is extremely hard for me to do.
Yeah.
Like I've done so many modalities in my life, and there's only two other things that have made me cry, and it's Cambo and Human Garage, because I just have a hard time getting to that space within myself. And I know internally it's a means of protection. You know, I deeply, deeply protect myself from feeling. And I've been disconnected from my truest self. And I've realized after working on myself that, you know, those walls don't serve me anymore. So Human Garage is another means of getting a sledgehammer and breaking those things
100%.
down, those walls we put up. And, you know, you're talking about, you know, speaking from our heart and living in those spaces. And I made a determination to live in my heart and access that part of my being, because it has been proven within my walk of life that that's the best place to operate. When I'm at home talking to my girlfriend, when I'm at home talking to my girlfriend's daughter, and I speak from that space and I live in that space, I'm in like the best, truest form of how I can be.
Yeah.
And so Human Garage opens that up. You know, the thinking mind limits us from telling us lies and deceit
100%.
and keeps us from the present moment.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're talking about how Human Garage puts you in that space, it really does. You know, so one thing is super rad is when I'm done doing the 28-day reset, the stress reset, Fascial Maneuvers, I feel so clear and open after. Like, dude, I have no thoughts. You know what I mean? And I feel so good. Like it's like a drug. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you create this drug within yourself, you know?
Right. The hormones, your hormones are coming into balance. You're releasing these stress hormones, and you feel just like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders.
100%.
So, you know, I barely came across this recently, and I'm only on like the beginning of like my 28 or the end of my 28-day reset, where I'm finally feeling some relief from, you know, the fascial maneuvers and so forth. But dude, it's crazy. And how embodied I feel now based off everything I've done. I've done so many different things, and this has been shown to do so much for my physical form. One of the things just from hearing from Gary, how he teaches some of this stuff, is that the fascia moves in spirals, which is super fascinating. And we've been kind of gone off a different avenue, believing that it's linear. You know, everyone's been stretching and doing these different things, and it's elongating. It's actually causing more harm rather than treating it in a spiral fashion. And that makes more sense because of the sacred geometry of things and the intelligence of how that has really imbued who we are, and like even understanding like the Fibonacci sequence. You know, it's a spiral, and it's like the essence of how everything is created in its truest form. I think it's like called the golden phi. It's like a numeral number that creates this spiral. You know, it's really beautiful. And when he mentioned that really cued me into the intelligence of what he's doing, because like, dude, it's so fascinating how powerful it can be. Dude, me and my girlfriend did the belly button torsion. Torque. And oh my God, dude, like, so Gary was mentioning that all the meridians of the body start from the belly button, which is super fascinating because that's the cord of which, you know, we're connected to our mothers. And I have a mother wound, you know, I have a mother wound of abandonment. And when Haley did that on me, there was like this just intense emotion that I was carrying deep in my belly button. And so we both did it on each other. And when I did it on her, she was weeping the beginning. And at the end, she started laughing hysterically. It was like this energy that was released. That was like this trapped emotion, you know?
Beautiful.
And for me, I was laughing hysterically at the end. Like I couldn't stop laughing for like 15 minutes, like belly laughing, like a true laugh. Like I haven't laughed like that in years.
It's amazing.
So there's something special about it, man. And I'm still learning. You know, I love being a student of all this stuff. So I'm super happy that you're here, man, and to talk about just how the fascia works and all these things, because it's re-educating me, and I believe it's going to help a lot of the firefighters and the police officers who are
100%, yeah.
who are dealing with this stuff, because the biggest thing is there's the crisis of behavioral health, mental health issues. All the suicides were like, it's like one of the top 3 ways firefighters are going to die is through suicide. And that cannot be it, man. That is terrible. And so there has to be something, but under that suicide, you know, and this behavioral health crisis we're dealing with is what's underneath that, these brackets. And one of the major brackets I truly believe is happening is chronic pain. Because how can you live in your body and be in pain and have good mental health?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
There's no fucking way, dude.
So, and it's also, you know, how I always describe it and what you said with the emotional body, you know, if your emotional body is unsettled and you want to build a house on a rocky foundation, you never build a house on a sandy foundation. So if I focus on my emotional body first, clear out old trauma, generational trauma, and then all of a sudden feel home in my body, you can build onto it. Meaning you think better, your physical body appears differently. So, but we as men, and we chatted about that earlier a little bit, especially as men, we never been told to show emotions in the first place. So then all of a sudden, suppressed emotions over time become physical. So you're in chronic pain, there's nothing wrong with you, you're not broken, you just have never addressed your emotions. And that might not be even from your life, they might just been passed on from your grandparents, grandparents, or from your parents. And someone has to deal with it. Eventually it's gonna come out. So when I used to have crazy tight hips. I tried everything, yoga, years of yoga, stretching. It would get a little bit better. If I don't stick with it, it goes straight back to it. And now I understand it has nothing to do with emotion, with my physical body. It's all emotions. My lower back pain, all emotions. Why do get people? I had problems with my shoulder, all emotions. Carry the world on my shoulder, of course you get out of alignment. So one shoulder hurts, then my hip starts hurting, my knee starts hurting. It's nothing to do with physical. It all starts emotionally. So, and then we try to run away from it, suppressing it with extreme exercises. What you do is you just put fire in that, fire in that oven, you know? Because then everything starts hurting more. And then then the mental part comes in play as well, where all of a sudden I told myself, okay, something's wrong with me. So unconsciously, I'm telling myself I'm broken. So how can I move forward in life when I'm telling myself I'm broken? How can I reach big goals when I tell my inner child, my emotional body, that I'm actually broken from my mind? It's not going to work. So the number one thing is to detaching ourselves from those negative thoughts, which you just said, and then connecting with our emotional body and inner child through fascial maneuvers. It's the easiest way I've ever seen to do that. And all of a sudden, you release trauma. Yes, you will cry, which is very important and healthy. I've done that many times over the last couple of months. But all of a sudden, what happens is you create space and you get out of pain. If I'm getting someone out of chronic pain within weeks, that person has a different life ahead. I lost my dad 3 years ago. My dad, he had 6 siblings. And my dad was the youngest. All of them died before him. He was the last one who passed away from a chronic illness. And all the other one died of cancer, heart attack, stroke, everything chronic. I look back now and completely understand everything. They all born during World War II, before World War, after World War II in Germany. They had to be adults when they were very young already. Never got any love from the parents. Never got shown how to deal with emotions, or emotions were never anything that would be talked about. When I would come home after not seeing my dad for almost a year, he would freeze up when I tried to give him a hug. There was no emotions. So, of course, as I said, eventually negative emotions, stored trauma, stored emotions become physical. So he developed rheumatoid arthritis, and then eventually with the wrong, he never focused on his diet or anything. He was a big beer drinker. He passed away from a spasm in his neck. But that all could have been prevented with what I'm knowing now. Not saying I should have saved him, because there's no right or wrong. This journey brought me to where I am today. This pain, what I underwent or was undergoing in the past, made me who I am today. And what I'm doing now, I turn around, look in the past, understand what I've learned from it, what I've seen, and now I want to turn around and help other people who are down the valley, undergoing the same pain, physically, mentally, and want to help them out of there. And that's what I'm here for. And as you said, like with firefighters in this whole department, even police officers, soldiers, anything like this, it's all there's so much mental stress combined with chronic pain that eventually your body can't hold it anymore. So, and then you pull the trigger, as crazy as it sounds, because people, those men or women, they don't see a way out because they've been trapped in that, most likely since they very little. They have those underlying emotions, underlying chronic pain all the time because, our body only shows us where it's really hurting at that point, but there's multiple other areas where you don't even feel it. Because, okay, we need to fix this when I tell you where it's hurting, better focus on that so we can get you out of pain here. But most of the time there's so much more going on. And then you take pain medication and then you're completely numb. So it's a disconnect from the mental and emotional body and a big disconnect to our inner child. Because if I never connect, you know what you just said, you had abandonment issues. That's also, I had the same thing where I'm like, okay, I never got the love from my parents, so I need to seek it for my entire life on the outside. Okay, they don't see me this way. Now I need to do something extreme. I need to be the guy who's in my early 20s who's the drunkest in every fucking party and blackout drunk, so anyone is talking about me, so I get validated. Then later on, I need to be the biggest guy in the gym. I need to lift the heaviest at CrossFit. Injured myself, couldn't do it anymore. And it's a spiral all the time till eventually I was like, I can't do it anymore. And I'm going to break the stupid cycle. And I'll be the first one from my generations that going to walk in a different path. And now I can turn around and help other people out there. And it's just going up, further up. Like the mountain is not climbed yet, but I know it's going to be pretty big. And I'm on the right path. And for me now, as I said, it's just like help as many people as I can. And hopefully millions of people around the world will know about me. And it's not about an ego thing. It's for me, it's like, okay, I want to be there and be there for other people, as many as I can, however many that will be,
It's so valuable, dude. And this whole thing with epigenetics and the way things are passed down from generations, this is, some people have said that that's pseudoscience, and because you cannot scientifically prove
of course.
that, right? And because we're coming to a place right now where we are unraveling the scientific dawn of living and understanding how there are things beyond the five senses of what we are now tapping into, because the superhuman nature of who we are is what accesses those fields, those planes of consciousness and the reality of it, because people are now being more attuned to that superhuman nature to understand, there's stuff that's passed down that's not mine.
Yeah.
And so you are an educated, powerful soul to come here to do this work, to clear lineages of pain and suffering. And to do this work is so profound to where you're taking the responsibility and the dignity to not pass it down to another generation. And I know from other indigenous cultures, they believe in this. They believe that there is a sanctity to the generational bloodline of what is inside of you. And there is something really powerful about understanding epigenetics. And it's all about belief systems here. If you can get your head out of your belief systems and start understanding, there's something true to my family's lineage. I'm carrying patterns of behavior from my mother, my mother's mother, and my grandmother's mother, because they didn't have the conscious awareness to understand how that's being passed down. But for you to be conscious and aware of that is so profound and very, very important to see how important you are to step up to the plate, stand proud of your lineage, and clear it. And because you care so much that you don't want to pass this stuff down to your children. And, for myself, I understood this years ago, and it became a duty for myself to make and do this work, because I know I don't want to pass down my own baggage to my children. I want to give them a clean slate.
100%.
And so it's really beautiful how you are understanding, like, even being a German, you know what I mean? Like, dude, you guys have been desecrated by war.
Yeah.
It's insane. And imagining how much has been passed down from your lineage, and realizing that, like, hold on, I can stop this. And so it really takes a powerful soul like yourself to really understand that, and the dignity you took upon yourself to take the courage to stop it. And you saw all this stuff wasn't working for you, and you're like, hold on, I got to stop for a second. And luckily, Human Garage came across your path, and I think there's something happening now where we're realizing there's synchronistic things that come across our paths when we stop and we listen to ourselves, because that's an important quality. There's an art to listening. When you're stopping all the noise in your head and you start understanding the subtlety of life, that's when things slow down and things that come across your path, such as Human Garage,
Yeah.
So I'm really honored to have this platform to use Human Garage as a method to help people listen in, and they get cued in with Human Garage, because it's all free.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no payment. You can download the app for free and do whatever they do. But I think the theme with it is you have to be determined and disciplined with it. Yeah. Every day you have to do it, because that's the progress. Everyone says, like, what you resist persists. I don't believe that. I think whatever persistence will overcome any resistance.
100%.
So, like, and one of my teachers is a Kung Fu master, and he says to me, like, like a drop of water will fall on a rock, but that drop will eventually break that rock. And doing things like Human Garage is what does that.
Yeah.
And different methods and modalities of understanding these ancient practices, but something like Human Garage is a new practice that is so profound. And I think over a period of time, like, if I want to do so much with Human Garage that I want to, do events for my department to have people show up, and because their biggest thing is transforming trauma, and just the stuff we see every day at work, like, we carry that, and it blocks us. And over a period of time, like, it breaks our bodies.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, man, it is so true. And when you're saying that, like, there was just something, like, inside me that zapped, like, I feel that, you know what I mean? I feel like over the years of doing this, my mental stress has just been so intense, and I'm barely chipping away at these concrete boulders, that have been sitting in my body. And I know when I've been in chronic pain, like, dude, it is taking me to my knees, where, like, I would just surrender to the chronic pain because I was not feeling good in my body. I'm just in extreme pain. Like, I don't know how to do this. It feels like there's no end.
Yeah.
And that's when suicide ideation would creep into my consciousness. Like, why don't you just fucking end it? Like, that thought would come into my mind.
It's crazy.
And I would be like, then I would be fighting with my mind, and it turned into this huge spiral. And to get myself out of the spiral was really, really hard. I'm fortunate enough to have mentors and teachers that teach me how to get out of it. But, I've been there, man. I've been there, and I know so many people who are still there. Like, we have so many guests come on here, and every single time they're like, I'll do my back, my knee, my shoulder, my neck. I had all these surgeries, X, Y, and Z. And, like, I think for so many years, we've put so much, like, trust into the allopathic way of cutting into your body and pulling something out. And we don't have to do that. That's traumatic.
Yeah, that's so traumatic. And what's the root cause of that? What's the problem? Where does it come from,
Right.
Really. And it's like, it's very, as you said, I feel a lot of people waking up slowly, and the more we can spread the word, the more people understand, okay, we can heal ourselves completely from everything. It's most of the time, it really starts with your emotions. So if I unwind all those emotions, the trauma, bring it out of the body. And we've seen it, like, when people do just a stress reset for 90 days, we have 80 to 90% less stress in the body. So if I have 80 to 90% less stress in my body, I think different, I feel different, I'm out of pain. And no disease can survive in an unhealthy environment. That's where it all starts. So and this is just by doing 2 maneuvers, like totally twisted and anti-gravity, takes 12 minutes, maybe 15 if you do it super slow. And it's 15 minutes out of your day. If you want to do it twice, even better. It's 30 minutes. 15 in the morning, 15 in the evening. And you change your life. I changed my life, and I'm the living proof of that. And thousands of people around the world, and coming up millions around the world, changing their lives by doing it. And as you said, it's all for free, you know. And now it's just, okay, we got to just do the best we can to get the word out, you know. And Gary, the team, they are traveling around the world right now. And I probably will do the same eventually, anytime soon. Just spreading the world, helping other people. And then, as I said, like when you do the one-on-one and you know what you're doing and you can channel energy, there's nothing like that I've ever seen. Because what it is, when you do turn the fascia, so you imagine you open it, you put in good energy, take out the old energy, and then you close it, the fascia stays open, the emotions get out. And what you said earlier with like those spiders on the web, you remove those spiders, but in a rapid way. So that's why what you said with the belly button Turk, as soon as someone else does it on you, who knows what they're doing, who you trust, it's opening a can of worms emotionally. So you get very overwhelmed with emotions. But it's also amazing because you release so much at one time. If you do it with someone who really knows what they're doing, you can get in one session 9 to 18 months ahead of your own healing journey, which is crazy. So it's just, and it's not a lot, you know, it's just what you do.
Right. It's simple. That's
and for
the
me,
beautiful
it's
part.
like, yeah. And for me, it's people like, oh, how did you learn? It's like, I've done it myself. And now I don't even think anymore when I do it on people. I just feel, okay, what's going on? I look at the body, I look at the person, and I understand what's okay. After talking to someone, or even just like being in the presence, you know what's going on, you know, because most of people, it's just all stored trauma and emotions. And then you understand that a little bit, you know where to touch. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow. I worked with a man, he was in his 50s, and he was like so broken emotionally. And that's not, broken is the wrong word, but he has a lot of trauma, you know? So we worked, and he was like, afterwards, after an hour or something, he was like, I feel like I've never felt in many, many years, like when I was little. And there's nothing more rewarding for me, you know, to just show people what's possible. And that's the thing, you know how it is, like, especially in the world we live right now, we all want a quick fix, you know? The good thing is with Human Garage, it works immediately. So everyone gets something out of it. And some people just, I didn't feel it because some people are so detached from their emotional, physical body that they don't even understand what's happening. So when you then work with someone like that and you open a big space, all of a sudden they understand. And then that's what get them hooked, you know, because they want to feel better. Everyone want to feel better. And it doesn't matter who you are. All, like from the bottom all the way up to the ladder, everyone deals with the same stuff.
Right.
Like what someone owns, it's all just stuff. What do you have? My dad used to say always, if you can't give a naked person, you can't take a naked person anything out of the pocket, and you can't put anything in there. And if you think about it, it's really true, because when you strip everything away, including your clothing, I'm not saying everyone has to run around naked, but if you look at a human like this, we all equal, we all the same, and we all dealing with the same stuff, which is emotional trauma and trauma from past life and generational trauma. So if I understand that and everyone is equal, we can help everyone, we can help another in any form possible. And going away from this whole ideologically that someone is better than the other one, which a lot of people, especially in Hollywood, think, then, you know, you step away from that, going in a different direction where everyone serves each other, which I said in the beginning. And all of a sudden you raise the awareness and the consciousness of the planet, and everyone is more happy, and everyone is less in pain. Suicide rate goes down. Marriage goes up probably. Children gonna be healthier because there's less trauma in our consciousness.
Yeah, you're saying such a beautiful perspective and this is what changed my worldview, you know, on what you're speaking of is I came down to a point where I saw people in a different way for such a long time, where I judged them on their appearance. You know what I mean? And for such a long time, and it's because of the years of working in the city of Los Angeles and just judging people, man, and judging people who came into the station. And that's a paradigm that has been part of the culture for such a long time as well. We judge each other so harshly. And it's only because we judge ourselves so harshly that we do that. And so to get out of that context of how I saw my outside world that I create, it was about understanding how everyone is a reflection of myself, you know, and how I understand that there is a unity, oneness to everything. And there's this beautiful lecture that Ram Dass talks about this, you know, and it's a lens that we all have, but that lens gets really deeper and deeper and deeper once you start raising your level of consciousness, you start elevating yourself. And I definitely want everyone to definitely like get in, watch, search Ram Dass. I don't even know what it would be called, man, but it would be like conscious awareness on human beings. Just search that and you'll find it, because it's a beautiful lecture on how he sees things. And at the very end of his lecture, he talks about how, you know, it's just me, a soul looking at a soul. He's like, hey, you in there, you're me. Yeah. What are you doing in there? And when you see it like that, it really changes your worldview and how you see people and human beings. It's a bit more compassion that comes through the living space of how we operate, which is ultimately in our hearts. And I really want to emphasize the aspect of how we elevate our lives by living in that space, because it is non-linear. It's multidimensional, from which we operate from that center of our chest, and we can navigate our lives and use that as our compass, and how we can maneuver around this, you know, vast forest of thoughts, feelings, and distortion, essentially. But that place, it really gives us our truth, and truth can be relative, however you want to believe in that. But your inner truth and how you navigate your life is really important. And there's layers to that. And if you can get down to these layers through the emotional obstructions, the emotional debris, and instead of just, you know, pushing things aside or sweeping it under the rug, that's not what I'm saying. You got to deal with it first.
Yeah, that's a big thing, you know, because I was reading Ram Dass stuff, which I totally appreciate, because I love everything he did, you know, in the past. And mentally I understood it. In my mind, I understood everything, but I couldn't embody it because there was so much blockage. And now I understand everything. Not everything, you know. No, I'm not saying I'm enlightened, but I understand what he teaches. It's like, okay, you are me and I am you. Love everyone and tell the truth, you know. Polishing the mirror every day.
Yeah,
it's all those things. It's like, understand it. Be present in the moment. Be here now. That's all there is, and it's always going to be like this. And as you said, you know, like you look in someone else's eyes, and it's a constant reminding of ourselves to do so, to understand that we're just souls on this planet for a certain period of time. And we're here to help each other on that journey. And not like to judge each other or like to, that's all ego. And it's all stuff. It's all just stuff. Whatever someone owns, whatever you are, whatever like your name, it's all just stuff. Put away all this stuff and just be right now, right here, you know? And then all of a sudden, if you actually really focus on someone else, everything around us disappears because you're just here.
Yeah.
You know, and everything is just stuff. And it's really
totally.
Like, yeah.
Well, something that's very important you said, dude, was you started to embody that information, that conscious awareness. And, you know, I'm still on my journey of embodying all the things I understand and know. But to know it and embody it is the true path of oneself and the journey of oneself. And Human Garage has helped me embody, because I feel like I'm sinking deeper and deeper and deeper to the essence of myself.
Yeah.
And I've never felt that before.
Beautiful.
It is like so powerful and beautiful, but subtle. And I walk with this confidence of beauty of who I am by just doing these simple maneuvers. And, you know, that was something that I struggled with for such a long time, you know, and like, it was all just a lot of my egoic mind, getting me to not do that because of what it's been, programmed outside of society to believing I have to do everything externally instead of going into my internal self and embody my truest form of who I am.
Yeah.
And that has been the hard thing, is to unravel that and put it together. And it takes a lot of time and discipline, but at the same time, it's just because of the programs, we've been given, and they're all programs of distortion from what other people believe, and dogmatic behavior that they want to tell you that you have to do. And I think a lot of where that came from was, I grew up very strict religious Protestant, and I was being always put in a box, and I never believed in that, and I always wanted to explode out of it because I knew I had so much potential and artistic nature within me that I wanted to not be, limited by people putting these layers of judgment upon me.
Yeah.
And that affected me later in my life, where I felt judged. So I internally judged myself, and I harshly criticized myself into believing in certain things that weren't true. And, that's been a journey of discovering how that deeply rooted pattern has shown up in my life. And it's nothing to speak wrongly about religion, but it's more about the dogma and the reward versus punishment.
Yeah.
That's what came into my life and started creating these patterns of behavior of reward and punishment. And I saw myself in my life doing that to myself. If I do this, I'm good enough to get this reward. Or I need more challenging experiences to grow. That's not true. I don't need to have challenging experiences to grow. And I think there's a paradigm of what firefighters see is like, we need challenges to grow. That's not true. And it causes resilience. Yeah, it does cause resilience. It makes you stronger. But that's a belief system all of us have to look at, because what needs us to grow is actually water, and watering our roots and digging deeper with our roots. That's what actually makes you grow.
Yeah.
And when you go into roots, into the soil, fertile soil, doing things like Human Garage, doing things like meditation and journaling and doing inner work, this is what creates fertile soil in order for those roots to dig deep. So when the storms come and the winds start, getting stronger and stronger, it doesn't blow you over.
Exactly.
You're anchored in deep within the essence of who you are. And I think, like, when you're going into the underground, that's where the shadow work comes. You hit a marker in yourself and you're like, damn, I didn't realize that was in my consciousness. That was deeply rooted in the corner of my mind or my subconscious. Yeah. And when that stuff comes up, that's important to look at those things. And then you're able to ignite those roots and dig deeper and deeper and deeper. That anchor comes, so profoundly deep that now people come to you. You're now a beacon of light. And people come to you because you feel grounded, and other people know you're grounded just by you being grounded. If that makes sense.
No, for sure. It's like people you walk in a room and like, oh, did she get a haircut or anything? No, it's just the energy you walk in the room, And what you said is really so true, because if you think about it, if you go on social media, which posts or which influencer or whatever have the most clout? Is anyone does anything extreme, that's where people hook onto because they want to be part of something. You look at David Goggins, it's very motivational, and I was completely hooked on that for a long time. Look at it now, I'm like, never in my life will I be doing this ever again, because all you do is like you're running away. Everything extreme, like you're running away from something. Should I do all those crazy things to get, as you said, more resilient for what? Like you might get strong. All you do is you build a huge armor around your heart, which you then never can even touch yourself. And then you become so disconnected and you don't even know how it feels to feel. And you become this person you want to become on the outside to get validated, to run hundreds of miles or do thousands of pull-ups or whatever it is. And I've been to all those places where like, oh, I need to do this now to get there. No, it's like, I understand now. Strip away everything, as I said, crack open that armor and sit. And then you'll find the answers. And then now I'm in a place where I'm like, okay, Now I can go to the gym again. I'm out of pain, and I can actually do workouts a little bit harder. And guess what? I recover way better, and I don't beat myself up if I don't go to the gym for 5 days in a row, because it's just all part of life. But I do things with a different intention. I do it because I want to feel good. I want to do it to feel a certain way in my body and to be challenged at the same time. But if I let the challenge override my feelings, or the vanity override the way I connect to myself, then everything is disconnected, you know?
Oh, dude, you're saying all the right things, man. Like, because when I first came across David Goggins, I was like, dude, this guy's just fucking angry, man. Like,
Yeah.
And he's punishing himself. And I just remember I used to do that to myself all the time, you know, and I was like, that doesn't work. So how is he doing it? You know, I think it's short lived. You know, I think he came from a background where he was forced into something like being a Navy SEAL, right? And those guys are now seeing how broken they are. And it's really fascinating to see, like, when they're broken, like, now what do? Now these guys are having to go do Ibogaine in Mexico because they need help. You know what I mean? Nothing's helping them. The VA's not helping them. But that self-punishment, man, that risk versus punishment, reward and punishment I talked about, that's huge to understand. And how we internally give ourselves, like, the courage to get past that, because it's a belief system that doesn't serve us. The only thing that is about, with us being tactical athletes as firefighters, is like, we do things that are physically demanding. And so we have to work out in order to be fit enough, you know. So that's the hard line, I think, with us, is like, we know we have a duty to have some type of wellness, you know, but who's defining wellness? You know what I mean? It's like these old ways of, you know, weightlifting heavy weight, when it's over time, it's going to tear away at your joints, you know, and not understanding how to do things properly. And so I think, and then taking a shit ton of supplements and eating bad food, it's like, that stuff doesn't work, you know. So I'm happy to bring in more education and knowledge, and more conscious awareness of how we can undo all the stuff that doesn't serve us any longer, to now we can step into, do all the things that support our mental health, and have it show up in a certain way where, if you do these small steps, they can lead us to the window of opportunity to be clear in our mental health, because there's so many, like, things that are connecting to all this web that I've seen when I first got into this. Was like, okay, there's a lot to do here. You know, it's like gut health and physical health, and like, our mental health is not just one answer. It's all these other parts to it. And so I'm so happy that Human Garage came into my lap, because I know it did for a reason. Number one, to help myself. And I was telling you before we started recording, like, for me, I've done so much conscious work on myself that I was elevating my consciousness in a way, but my body was not at that level with my consciousness. I was not having that embodiment, because my body was still stuck with, you know, the patterns of behavior and just having that stuck emotion. Yeah. So this has really helped and elevated my entirety of my being together in its fullest form. And I've been needing something like that for such a long time, to have that somatic release that I really needed. And my girlfriend the same way. My girlfriend's a yoga teacher, and she was telling me how empowering it is, aside from yoga, you know, because it has really done that for us. And I'm so thankful for Gary and his team and yourself, dude, to do this. You know, it's like, it is, and their mission too is all about humanity, and it's a humanitarian movement. I love that about Human Garage, dude. It's really been impactful, because I went to the Malibu event, and just everyone that was there, I just felt so connected, and so empowered by other people, you know, who are dealing with the same things, and they have this urge to undo all of it. You know what I mean? It was like a beautiful community, and so I really am so grateful for that, man. One other thing I kind of wanted to shift with is fasting, because I know you're big on fasting, and I'm a big fan of it. So I'd love to hear how you came across, you know, fasting, and what it's done for you and your physical form, and how that's shown up for you.
So I came across it also years ago. I started intermittent fasting, you know, that was probably like 10 years ago or something, on and off. And, with social media, all that, you get always drawn into one direction, then you flip back, and it comes back to what I said earlier, because I never really had a direction. I was searching my whole life, And fasting always was kind of like, in a sense, to be really honest, was also a great way for myself to punish myself unconsciously. Where I'm like, okay, I'm not eating for 20 hours every day. And I've done that many, like, months in a row. And then I would do, then till I started doing longer fasts, like water fast, 5 days. It's the longest I've done, 6 days. And all great, but also the intention wasn't right, which I know now. Looking back now, I'm like, okay, I know why I did that, and I had to do that. And my intention wasn't right. Intention was like, I need to lose body fat to look a certain way or whatever stupid idea I had behind it, And I told myself different, but I know now that it was the reason, So with that all aside, I know now that if you think about it, so food is medicine, right? That's how the saying is. So what happens is we get addicted to the medicine, and then we turn medicine into poison, and we're addicted to the poison. Everyone is eating 24/7. Everyone is doing like whatever they want with food. You go on Instagram or you go on the internet, like everyone's telling you need to eat like within the first 60 minutes after waking up. You have to at least have 50 grams of protein. Otherwise, you're falling apart and your muscle wasting away. That's all the dogma, like people telling you stories and the false belief. You believe it, because someone who's checked up, looks really good on camera, he tells you whatever they want, and then all of a sudden you believe it. That's where we live in, right?
Very true.
And I've done this roller coaster for many years. So basically, what I'm doing now, how I look at fasting, is just to connect to yourself better, to connect to my physical and mental body. So I'm fasting. I'm doing still intermittent fasting. I started it pretty much like after a few weeks. I really got into human garage again. I was like, okay, let's see how it's gonna feel now, because I'm different. I think different. I feel different in my body. So the more I did the work, the more I released emotions, the more I detached myself from things, including food, the more I felt good, the better I felt. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I don't want to eat till 1 or 2 o'clock. And then I do once a week like today on a Monday, Sunday to Monday night, I do 24-hour water fast. Have a little bit caffeine maybe. And that's what I do once a week. And then sometimes once a month or twice every other month, something like this, I do a 2 to 3 day water fast. But what it did for me is and what it does still every day is it gives my body the ability to actually clean itself. So I don't believe anything anyone says. Like it's particularly for myself, that I can talk only about myself, but I also seen it on other people. If I eat a heavy breakfast, and I tried it again like a few weeks ago, and I was like, I can't. Like even if it's just oatmeal or whatever, or even a smoothie, which is supposed to be light, it weighs me down, and I get so sluggish in the afternoon, because we have everything we need within ourselves. There's a reason why you can go like weeks without food. Yes, you waste, like you eat your own body weight, eventually your muscle and everything, but on a daily basis, we don't know how much food you need. It's all those numbers you can calculate. That's all just like one way of thinking. There's so much going on in the body with protein utilization within yourself every day that we don't need 200 grams of protein a day. It just weighs you down. It's like for me, I think so different now. I'm like, okay. And there's this one, I don't know if you heard of this guy, Daniel Pompa. Have you? So I started following his stuff 2018, I think. And he's big on fasting. And also he has one thing, is feast and famine cycle. And it's all about variation. And it makes, now looking back, makes the most sense in the world to me. Because if you think about it, how we grew up, right? How we evolved. We were eventually started eating meat, but meat wasn't available 24/7, obviously. So you eat a lot of protein maybe for 2-3 days, and then you don't eat a lot of protein for a few other days. So what he developed, and what I've been a big fan of, is he called it feast and famine cycle. So you can start with 5-1-1. So 5 days out of the week, you do just a regular intermittent fast. And he's very big on like lower carbs. So you can do that however you want, however you prefer. I have carbs more throughout my workouts and later in the day rather than for lunch. So 5 days intermittent fast, 1 day a week, you have a feast day. We eat either more protein or more carbs or both. And then 1 day a week, which I do today, is a 24-hour fast. And you keep your body guessing all the time. And I found it incredibly helpful and beneficial. And we also have actually, I talked to Gary about it, and they all really big on fasting too, because it's you clean your body, heal your body, you detox your body. So we actually have with Human Garage, we have a supplement also it's ketone salt. So exogenous ketone salts. So you take that with the intermittent fast and it actually elevates your ketone levels. Therefore you get more energy and you also detox faster, So to round it up a little bit, I'm definitely a big fan of fasting, but I changed the perspective I look at it, because I'm not chasing an outcome. I'm doing it because it makes me feel good. Where in the past, I had to fast in order to get to a place. And then that fast itself is not enjoyable, because all you do is like you predict how the future is going to be, which we can never do anyways. And then, for example, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I wanted to do a 96-hour fast. And I started my fast, and by day 2, hit like 46-hour mark. I was like, you know what? Just doesn't feel right. And I don't want to do it anymore. I just going to eat tonight for dinner. In the past, I would guilt shame myself and be so hard on myself. Most likely not stop, just pushing through it. Whatever happened to my mental and physical body wouldn't matter. But as long as I do what I told myself to do. So in this time, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do it anymore. And it felt so fucking good, because I'm like, I'm in charge of my life, not anyone else. And that's really the number one thing what happened with me when I started Human Garage. I got so empowered to myself that I took charge of my own life again. From my soul, from a soul level, not from my mind. Because I can take charge of my life from my mind every day, all day. But you drive yourself nuts, because you have 1,000 thoughts every minute, driving yourself crazy. You run circles, you go in a hamster wheel, and you'll never win that race ever. And I've done it so many times, dude. It's like, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, when I do something, like even on those Mondays, I had multiple days where I'm like, I go to bed on a Sunday telling myself I want to fast till Monday dinner. And a few times it would, like, at lunch, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to eat today. It doesn't feel right. And it's fine. There's no right or wrong. It just is. It's an intention I have, and I still do something. And if I want to not fast for a few days, it's the same thing. It's fine. It's all great. It's just what's going on within yourself. What's that dialogue? Listen to your emotions and not pushing them down. And it's still something I'm learning a lot of, because my entire life, I disconnected myself. So this is one thing I want to tell everyone who's listening, and yourself as well, is the most important part when we start this journey with, whether it's Human Garage or any modality where we release trauma from the fascia, is that you don't chase an outcome, and also be gentle to yourself, So every day we want to chip a little bit away. What you said, you have those boulders in yourself, right? So how I look at it is like, if you look at ancient Greek, there's those beautiful statues made out of a big rock, of a big boulder. The artist who created that, he started working on a huge boulder. He had this vision in his head, to create this statue which looks so beautiful. And we all have that vision in our head of ourselves, where we are out of pain and feeling really good in our bodies. Everyone wants it. Everyone. And it's priceless, and you can't pay for it.
Right.
Because it's impossible to pay. I can't pay you for yourself feeling good. It's not possible. And you can't pay me to make you feel good. It's all within yourself. So what I want to say with this is that I invite everyone who start this journey to become an artist of your own sculpture within yourself. and not getting up in the morning and saying, oh, I need to do this in order to feel better. The artist wakes up every morning and he's in love with what he's doing. Every day he's chipping away a little bit. And over time, this whole thing gets a form. And when he sees the form, he's like even more in love with it. And that's what happens with our emotional body. The more I chip away, all of a sudden I feel better. I'm like, and that's happened to me. I'm like, as I said, I started with a few maneuvers. Now I'm standing there every morning an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, because I love it. And I'm not getting up and like, oh, I don't really want to do that today. With workouts that I used to have those crazy morning routines, eventually you fall off because it's not enjoyable. But now I wake up, I'm excited to do that. And I chip away every day a little bit more. And eventually I have this beautiful statue that then I can go to people and say, look, this helped me so much. It's going to help you. And I'm the living proof of it. And that's really what it is. So fall in love with the process. Don't chase an outcome. It's what it's written in The Alchemist. The journey is a destination. And there's no treasure to be found, you know?
That's such a good book, man. And it's such a good way to describe that. And it's so important to envision things.
Yeah.
You know, the power of the inner vision is how you are creating your reality, you know, per se. And, you know, this is a marathon. You need to treat it as such.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a pace that you need to give yourself and pace yourself in a way that's manageable. You know, you can't tackle it all at once. If you do that, you will overwhelm yourself. You know, and then I'm super happy you mentioned, like, you know, how food is medicine and maybe it can become poison. But someone had told me, you know, food is medicine until medicine becomes your food. And it's like, it's so true, man.
So
like,
true.
And it does. And I'm so similar to you, man, how the intentions on something have created like a storm for myself, you know, and because I used to fast for the same reasons as well, for vanity. But what happened was I started being more educated on it, and my intentions did change when I would stop eating breakfast, because I had been doing intermittent fasting for 8-9 years now. And the person who got me into it was George St. Pierre. He's one of my favorite fighters, and he was huge into fasting. And people had this misnomer on how it can deteriorate your muscle growth. And that's what he said. He was like, I thought I was going to lose weight, because he did a study over in Toronto, Canada, where they were doing studies on reversing cancer and diabetes with fasting. And so he was one of their guinea pigs where they're doing a lot of tests on him. And so what they found is that at 72 hours is when your autophagy and your human growth hormone starts peaking. So he actually gained muscle through this fasting experience. And so one of the things is autophagy is it's cellular regrowth or cellular regeneration in your body. When you stop giving your body food, your body now takes the energy that you use to digest your food and uses it for cellular regeneration and other regeneration in your body. So human growth hormone actually grows muscle, and you become, you feel like you're superhuman at that 72-hour mark. And it's hard to get to that point for a lot of people because your insulin starts dumping at 48 hours. So that sugar craving you're having, or that carbohydrate craving you're carrying from the insulin spiking too much in your body, will start to go down. So after 48 hours is where you start to feel like, oh, do I have so much energy? And I feel just empowered, because your body now is using that energy that was stored for other things, even like your mental capacity.
Yeah.
You know, so you feel so much more clear. And so I noticed when I stopped eating breakfast, I was fasting about 16, 18 hours. And I feel so much more clear. And I don't like yourself, you were saying like you feel sluggish. I'm the same way. When I'm at work, like I feel so much more like open and clear and concise on my productivity for the day. So I kept doing it, you know, and when I did eat breakfast, I felt nauseous and I just felt like discomfort, you know? So after a period of time, I was like, dude, I just don't desire to eat breakfast. I love breakfast food. I might eat it for dinner, but I just don't feel like eating.
Yeah.
So that was what got me to feel, I just understood for just a long period of time how I would feel. You know, if I put something in my body, how does it make me feel? It makes me feel sluggish. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And that's why with diets, there's no specific diet for everyone, because you have to understand what you're putting in your body, and if it makes you feel good, then fucking eat it. So that's part of the embodiment, is understanding what makes you feel good, right? So one of the big things with fasting is, once you pass that 72-hour mark, now your intestinal stem cells start to regenerate, and we create our own stem cells, which is like basically like recovery for torn tissue. It tears away at tumors in your body, or whatever it is. That's why people started reversing diabetes and cancer with fasting, because of these intestinal stem cells. And you can get rid of like candida overgrowth and parasites that are in your body. And so that is a huge factor for the healing modality with fasting. And then you also get musculoskeletal stem cells. So your body starts to heal itself. Anything that's torn ligaments or whatever, it starts to regenerate. Torn muscle, torn ligaments. It starts to heal it. You start healing yourself. And like a wounded animal usually goes off by itself, and it will starve itself, because it knows naturally that your body's going to heal itself. So it's so fascinating how, fasting's been used for eons. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And we've lost touch with some of these things through just eating and stuffing your face with calories. It's like, dude, like sometimes your body needs to rest. And I think with the fasting thing is, it is very hard to do the first 48 hours, but you really do feel great after a period of time. And I did watch a documentary with two Australian brothers. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Dude, what is it called again?
Fasting.
Yeah. So these two Australian brothers, right? And one of them, he hurt his back because he was a rugby player. And so he got into fasting, and he did this 40-day fast with his brother. And dude, it was like, it was so crazy to watch, because they would get super emotional, and like it was just a beautiful process that they did with each other. But it was how he healed himself was with the fasting. And they did all these studies with these doctors, and to see like, hey man, like there's something to this. And the proof is in the pudding, as they say, right? Like there's something to it, and you can excrete all the toxins from your body. So it is really great. So I just wanted to talk on it because I love fasting.
Yeah, same.
And people think I'm crazy for fasting at work. And I'm like, dude, I think you're crazy because you eat so many calories,
I know. It's like, as I said, you look at everyone on social media now is, most of the people in the fitness industry are anti-fasting, because it's so bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
You need to eat like 200 grams of protein a day. And then how come some people, they don't really eat that much food and still like gain muscle? I look at myself. I've been eating less than ever, and my body is responding so well to when I train in the gym and I put on muscle. So I contributed that to fasting, because you balance your hormones, but also when you do then the human garage stuff, and you actually find your new baseline, like your body's in homeostasis. So everything, your hormones, everything is functioning. Of course you gain muscle. So what's the problem in the first place? Our body's out of balance. So people need to, I need to eat that much food because I need to feel that way when I eat. They're addicted to food. Mm-hmm. So then I eat people eat every day, multiple meals. I know a guy who got in really good shape, a friend of mine, and he eats his first meal at 6:30 a.m. and he eats all day. He's in great shape. Doesn't mean it's optimal, because eventually that's not going to work anymore, because you can just, it's almost like, I look at it from a different angle. It's if you stuff your face so much, even if it's healthy food all day long, you're abusing your body to get to a certain place. I need to eat that much food. Oh, this is a goal, vanities. I need to have like being super lean or whatever. And you can get there for sure. It's also like eventually becomes science, and it's also a belief you create. If I believe in something so strong, it's going to work, So, sure. But it's more about the detachment and understanding who you are, and then letting the body do its work without too much from the outside. And then when you eat the right foods, what do you say? Okay, if I now know what makes me feel good, I eat sardines every day. Some people hate it. I love it. It makes me feel good. I eat it every day.
Sardines every day?
Yeah. So, for example. But it's like, there's no right or wrong. That just is. If I enjoy that and it makes me feel good, You don't have to eat it, or anyone else doesn't. You know, it's the same with every other food. But of course, there needs to be some sort of understanding what's healthy and what not. As long as we eat whole foods that are least processed, you'll be always off on the right path. And don't eat too. It's like there's so many books you can read, like the Taoism. All they talk about is like eat till you're 80% full. Don't stuff your face all day long. Wait at least an hour or 2 hours after waking to eat. That stuff is around for tens of thousands of years.
Right.
And all of a sudden, like Tim Ferriss rolls around and says, oh, you need to have 30 grams of protein, at least 30 grams in the first 30 minutes of waking up, and people believe it. And then like after 2 years, everything, like the gut is off, because if you eat so much, like you don't even have 12 hours of a break from food, your body can't even digest everything. It just sits there. So you pile up, and eventually you just become huge.
Totally, dude. I mean, you're speaking my language, man. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
But it is true, man. And you know, it's and that's why, you know, talking about education on some of these things, it's so valuable. And you know, the important factor is like, for me, like there's so much information out there, dude. We're just compacted with information, you know. And so for me, if I'm hearing something from someone, if it resonates with me, if it rings true, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to look into it, you know, and then I will validate it at some point, because I don't believe everything I hear, you know, and I don't expect people to believe everything I hear, you know, but I'm speaking from personal experience I've tried so many different things, you know, and I've done so much because I've been on this path of just the body-mind mastery for such a long time. And so I put things into practice, and that's why I do the things that really work, because my goal is to have that body mind mastery, and along with enhancing my superhuman nature, because I want to feel good when I'm older, and I want to just be more empowered in my life. And so a lot of these things, like the Buddha says, you know, the enlightenment starts with the body. Like, how are we supposed to move forward if our body is sick? Yeah. And it's so true. You can read so many different books and have so much knowledge, but what does that show in your life, in your physical form, you know? And the stuff you're talking about with the vanity, like I always tell people, like, because there's so many people with like porn muscle, you know what I mean? It's just like this muscle you put over your body for this physique. Yeah. That doesn't mean that they're embodied. It doesn't mean that at all. No. You know, it's just like this excess that people push on top of themselves. It's actually a means of protection. Yeah. Because they want to protect themselves. They want to be hurt. And deep down inside, that little boy, that little girl is insecure. Yeah. So a lot of it has to do with that. It's crazy because, like, you know, I've being in the line of work that I'm in, and especially for the department I work for, there are some superhuman dudes that I am around, like just big and tall, and they are embodied. They're just specimens, you know what I mean? And so like to get where we're at in this career, to be where you're at, to be chosen and to pass the drill tower, I always tip my hat off to them, because it's very difficult to get through the drill tower and physically and mentally to get through it. Yeah. But once you're there, now it's time to really start to embody the self, you know, and start making sure you're doing this preventative maintenance so you don't get injured. You know, so many different, you know, D1 athletes, professional athletes who I work with, you know, they tell me like, dude, I've had so many injuries, you know, and so many surgeries. And it's like, dude, like, what's going to happen 10 years later? You know what I mean? Like, exactly. That's not going to help you. And it's just insane how people are understanding how we can prevent this stuff with Human Garage. And so I really do want to kind of trickle back down to Human Garage, because it has helped me so much, man. And I can't thank Human Garage enough, you know. So if there's anything else you kind of want to talk about with Human Garage, and because they do the stress reset is so important. I think everyone should do it every day. Yeah, 100%. But there's other things that you can do, like the organ reset, which is really fascinating. And what was cool about it too was, you know, Gary had intention, or like mantras you say with each organ, right? Because in each organ, and this kind of goes into Chinese medicine, is that each organ has an emotion attached to it. And one is in balance, one is out of balance. And so with the understanding of some of these things, Gary understands it. And so he has these mantras, you say, with the organ of what emotion is attached to it, which I was like, when I heard Gary, because I already knew this stuff. And when Gary started implementing that, I was like, dude, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, he's got like some really beautiful ways of saying these things that we're carrying in our bodies. You know, you need to say out loud.
Yeah.
And it's powerful. So yeah, man, if you have anything else to talk about with what Human Garage offers.
So definitely, you know, what you just said, the organ reset is really big, because especially for me, what I've seen with a lot of people is, including myself, we hold a lot of trauma, emotions, resentment in our liver. So, and in the, you know, the liver, when you're stuck here, if you have a lot of stuck emotions in your liver, it all translates into your stomach. So a lot of people have constipation, chronic constipation, can't go to the bathroom, taking laxatives, whatever. And it all stems from emotions, suppressed emotions. So the organ reset is huge. I do it every day as well. So, and then on top of that, we have face, you know, there's a maneuver for everything in the end of the day. And the thing is, what I also want to tell people is you go on this journey, which I studied this journey. Everyone goes on their own journey with fascial maneuvers. And in the beginning, that's also what Gary says. You do the basic stuff, but then you create your own routine. Meaning you wake up in the morning, see how your body feels. I'm always going to do the stress reset, totally twisted anti-gravity every day. But what I'm doing the rest of it afterwards always changes a little bit. We have facelift maneuvers where you can really get rid of wrinkles, because all you do is like you break open the fascia in your face, so there's blood flow happening. If there's blood flow happening, you can build collagen. So you get a plump skin again. And as Gary always says, and I believe that, we not to our age, the numbers, we age for the number, but our physical body is supposed to be 28 years old till we die. It's just the way we carry our trauma emotions and we carry ourselves. So if I'm in a body that I'm taking care of, doing the right things, hydration, nutrition, fasting, human garage, or like fascial maneuvers, all of a sudden why should my body want to age if I'm like doing everything right? There's no reason, because we create space. So in space we can move. All of a sudden there's no reason to break anything down, because again, why so many people die is mostly even in old age from chronic diseases. So I can prevent those chronic diseases with doing all that kind of work in the first place, from healing myself from within. So I don't need to do anything. I don't need to go to the doctor to check up all the time. I don't need to do everything what we've been told from day one on to do. At a certain age you need a colonoscopy, all those things. It's all great if you want to do that, but why don't you just take care of yourself in the first place? Reduce the stress out of your body. Get rid of all the trauma, emotions. The more you chip away, all of a sudden, do you think any of those statues in Rome, you can throw anything against them, they don't really break, and that's how we're supposed to be. You build this solid rock foundation within yourself, and then there need to come a really big storm, as you said earlier, to blow that over, and that's really most likely not really possible in this lifetime. You know,
for sure, man. Yeah, I think I hope that everyone listens to this and just downloads the Human Garage app. You know, it's free, and do their 28-day stress reset and see how you feel. It's so important. I mean, I think it's really a paradigm shift that's happening right now. And I think as we are all awakening at this time, we're seeing that we hold that power within us to heal ourselves. But what's important, was something that Gary said, man, that was really, really spoke to me, was someone who's traumatized, they will be isolated and they go off on them by themselves. And that's a trauma response. In order to heal, you need a community around you to support you. And I love how you mentioned like the supported fascial maneuvers. It's like it enhances your experience because you're being supported by someone else. Yeah. And us as humans, we desire that support. You know, if we want to believe it or not, it's only our egos or our false identity that's telling us that we don't.
Exactly.
It's so important for the community to come together with this. And that's why I love Human Garage, because they implement the factor of support, because it's so essential to how we heal. We heal with others.
The healing community, 100%.
And when we tell our stories, from our own suffering, that speaks to so many different people, because it feels like you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important for something like this platform for me, speaking from personal experience, I've been there. I've been in the mud. I know what it feels like when you feel stuck and scared and alone. You want to fucking kill yourself. I've been there and I know what that feels like. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
And so that's why I really love this part of, because Human Garage is not just the fascial movements. It is implementing so many different factors and understanding and education. So that is why I truly, it really spoke to me and it resonated with me. It rung true without a doubt. Because everything that was coming up was like, a lot of it was some of the education I've already had, number one, with Chinese medicine and with these different factors of the fascia. It's just really put it all together, but in like a advanced form. Dude, I feel like Gary is a freaking alien, dude, who just has like this like alien knowledge. And he's just like has this antenna and he's dialing into like that radio station of like this knowledge, because it is, it's definitely, it's practical, and that's the cool part too, is like a lot of it's the power of the breath, with the twisting, with the movement.
Exactly.
And so that's really cool. It's so fundamental, but it's so powerful at the same time. But I think we've come outside of the fundamentals with things. And now you even started off with the conversation talking about how can you build on sandy soil? It's going to fall.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of everything we're being exposed to has so much sandiness to it, and it doesn't have like this firm foundation is what we need. So I definitely want to close up here. I know you got to get out of here. You got to get your dog from the groomer. But yeah, man, thank you so much, Jules. I really appreciate you, brother. And thank you for showing up. It is so important to the masses on the work you're doing. Honor and respect for you, brother, and hearing your story, it really spoke to me because I relate on so many different levels, man.
Thank you.
If there's anything you would like to say as far as people getting hooked in with Human Garage, I know they do have an event coming in Orange County in September.
Yeah.
So if you like to plug in your own personal stuff and along with Human Garage or whatever you have for people to contact you.
Yeah, so definitely, as you said, download the app, Human Garage. Start your 1 day reset, then 3 days, then 7 days, and 28 days you can do as well. Then Human Garage on Instagram. You can find me under Jules_Horn on Instagram. And as I said, you'll find it on the Human Garage website or on my Instagram. We do a once a week, every Thursday, 5 p.m. I'm hosting a meetup in Santa Monica where Tower 26 is. It's all free donation if someone wants to, but it's generally for free. And all levels, we have always people who start brand new. And so, yeah, that's about that. And I'm hosting with my fiance, who's actually a yoga teacher as well.
Oh, cool.
And we're doing a retreat, Human Garage and yoga. We call it the Embodiment Retreat, end of October, beginning of November in Costa Rica.
Oh,
so
cool.
if anyone is interested, just reach out to me. And
We're in Costa Rica.
Santa Teresa.
Oh, dude, I love Santa Teresa, dude.
Santa
I'm out
Teresa.
País.
Yeah.
That's the place I usually go to when I go travel to Costa Rica.
So, yeah, it's so pretty there. No. So yeah, that's about it. And as I said, be gentle to yourself. Enjoy the journey, fall in love with it. That's the most important part. And feel. Don't listen. Don't listen to your mind. Feel and don't think too much.
Thanks so much, dude. I really appreciate you, man. And I really am just learning more about Human Garage myself and doing all these things on my own body. And I am definitely taking more education to make sure I possibly will go and do this for our own department, So I definitely want to cue in with, if I could ever be in contact with Gary, because I know there's so many hurting guys. I mean, we have over 4,000 members, for our department, and we always get injured, man. And so I really want to put and implement Human Garage into some type of wellness program that we have, because I know how effective it is and how important it is for us. And I know it's an important piece of the puzzle for this crisis we're in.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, brother. Once again, Your time is so valuable to me and the people that are listening. So once again, everyone, please like and subscribe on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Your comments and your likes really enhance the algorithm for when someone needs to hear this episode or another episode. It creates that streamline to get into the hands or the ears of someone who needs to hear this, who may be suffering, dealing with chronic pain, dealing with suicide ideation or whatever. Thank you so much for your support. And for our sponsor, Frontline Behavioral Wellness, they're the ones that help keep this on the platforms and the lighting and the sound. So thank you so much, Frontline Behavioral Wellness. And if you can contact them through their 24/7 hotline, it's 661-877-7241. They're clinicians and their peer support group program. They're always there at 24/7 if you want to reach out to them. So if you're a spouse and you know your husband or your wife is at work and they're suffering and they need some help, call that number. It can be a little help or a lot of help. Thank you so much for everything you do, Frontline Behavioral Wellness, and all your support. You can also access acerahealth.com for their facility in Costa Mesa for dealing with PTSD, anxiety, depression, suicide ideation, addiction, all that stuff. They're there to help. So thank you so much for everyone that's listened to this, and take care.